In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One morning, the friends were having their breakfast and drinking their ink tea, as usual.
Be very careful today, Ari, because it's Friday the 13th, and something terrible can happen at any second.
That's already happening, Knock. You're saying terrible nonsense.
At that moment, a raven flew over the friends' little house. He brought the newspaper where all of the paper news was printed.
Okay, let's take a look. Yep, just like I said. What did I say, Ari? Read!
It says that today, on Friday the 13th, at 13:13 o'clock, at Rotten Swamp Street number 13, the Paperland ghosts will have their meeting. Sounds strange because everyone knows that ghosts don't exist.
But they do on Friday the 13th.
Well, my friend, I say we go there and check it out.
Almost all of the Paperland inhabitants gathered by the rotten swamp at the appointed time. There can't be any ghosts, some of them said. Of course not, the others agreed with them. But they were afraid to come any closer.
Quiet! It seems that it's begun!
Everything is very simple. Someone's just staggering around covered in a sheet. And now flying in the air like a
real-life ghost!
Knock, but this is impossible since ghosts don't exist.
Oh, not today, Ari. We need to act paperfully. The most important thing is to approach a ghost and try to remain unnoticed.
Knock, please be careful. Oh, no.
But suddenly, the paper tent wall had been torn, and the raven flew out of it. "Help! A ghost!" yelled the raven.
Don't be afraid, my friend, because ghosts do not exist. Everybody knows this to be true.
Well, I don't get it, Ari. Where did this raven come from? Hey, where's my ghost? 'Cause, well, I don't see it anywhere.
Huh! I knew it, Knock! There is shadow play here. All of this is as clear as a piece of paper.
To make a shadow play puppet, you'll need a sheet of black, thick cardboard and an ice cream stick. First, draw a ghost on the cardboard. That's right, well done. Now, you have to cut it out and glue it on the stick. Put the puppet in a ray of light from some source of light. Now, your show is about to start.
Oh, it's so obvious! But what's the meaning of all this?
It was at this moment that the raven began to talk. His name was Cagliostro, and his theater used to be a huge success. The audience had admired his shows, but that was all over once a movie theater opened in Paperland, featuring colorful cartoons. So the audience stopped going to the shadow play theater, and the raven had to invent cunning tricks to make the audience come back.
Well, you have certainly done a great job.
Oh, yes! The show was stunningly terrible. I mean, terribly stunning. Well, you get it.
The friends assured the raven that they would no doubt visit his next show.
Oh, well, it sure is a pity that real ghosts don't exist. Ah! A ghost!
Knock, what's wrong with you? I just wanted to iron the sheet a little. It got wrinkled.
It was in this way that our story that happened on Friday the 13th, Paperfully Folded Up. You'll learn what happened in Paperland after that the next time, so don't go too far away. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. Aristotle and Knock Knock were keen on sending and receiving letters because the letters were made of paper. And in paperland, as you know, the word paper is synonymous with good.
It's been a long time since we received any letters.
Oh, everybody forgot about us, Ari. Nobody writes to us.
Don't worry, Knock. There must be a logical reason. What does it say over there?
This is... Whoa! It's our address! Paper Street, Building 1. Somebody's turned our address plate upside down!
You see, there's the solution. We get no letters because the postman can't find our address. Why don't we just wait here for the postman?
So the friends came back home waiting for a letter. But a strange thing happened. The next day, the address plate was reversed again. But not only the address was turned over.
Look, Ari!
Everything in the yard was turned upside down, as if someone came at night and reversed each and every object.
There really must be something wrong.
Well, of course there is! Who would ever want to go on a swing in reverse?
I don't understand. I'll have to think this over, Paperfleet.
Whenever Aristotle has to ponder on a problem, he always takes his double bass and starts playing on it. Usually, the ideas come instantly flowing into his head. But in this reversed story, even ideas that occurred to him were somehow reversed.
Hurry! Look! I'm swinging head over heels! This is so fun!
Instantly seeing Knock Knock upside down made Aristotle take a special thought.
I think I know who's turning our things over.
Indeed! Who is it?
To know for sure, we should wait for nighttime.
That's strange. It's too dark for 6 o'clock.
That's because the clock is turned over.
Right! But who did it?
Look!
It just so happened that bats had moved into Aristotle and Knock Knock's home. They thought that the house was abandoned because there was no nightlight. And, as you know, bats go walking around at night and sleep all through the day. And what's more, they hang on trees, with their heads down. Such strange creatures they are.
I guess we have new neighbors, Knock.
Yup. And you know what I think?
What?
They really can have fun.
The friends joined in on the housewarming party.
How to make a paper bat.
Take a piece of paper, fold one corner down, and cut away the extra to make a square. Take a square piece of paper and fold it from corner to corner. That's it. Now, bend half of it into a triangle so that the end protracts. This will be the bat's tail. Now, twist the wings in a zigzag here and there. Amazing! Reverse the sheet, and now bend the upper part towards the center. A bat face will emerge. The next day, Aristotle and Knock Knock made every effort to make sure that the new occupants felt at home.
Excellent! It's ready! Now the guests can find your address too, and we'll be receiving letters again.
The bats thanked Aristotle and Knock Knock for their hospitality and flew away to get some sleep, as it was quite late now, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Or no, 2 in the morning. Or still in the afternoon. Sorry, I'm a little mixed up now. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One day, Knock came up with an idea to lay out a flower bed in front of their house.
Ari, here I have tulips, here petunias, and this is where paper bellflowers grow. See?
Nope, Knock, I don't. Maybe these are invisible paper bellflowers.
Ari, you don't have a clue about paper botany. Tomorrow morning, this whole bed will be blossoming with flowers.
You've been telling me this for a week already, Knock. What if the flowers never come up?
A weed plant!
First thing in the morning, Knock dashed outside to check on his flower bed.
Hearts and flowers in gardens of ours. Hooray! Ari, come over here quick! Well, what did I tell you? Huh, Ari?
Knock, wasn't I the one who said it?
Knock was in despair. Just a few seconds ago, he'd seen the flowers with his own eyes. Where in the world could they have gone?
But they were there, for sure. Bellflowers were here, horse knops were there.
Of course they were, my friend. Just don't get upset. They were there yesterday too. Maybe you need a nice cup of paper tea.
Oh, I must find my little flowers.
Maybe someone has stolen them.
Stolen? Of course. A crime of the century. This will not stand. Quake with fear, you thieves!
Knock started the investigation right away. He examined every square inch of the bed and inspected each paper grain of sand.
I can't figure it out. No clue at all. Seems like a cow licked them away.
Knock Knock. You said a cow?
Knock didn't know how close he was to unveiling the secret. To be honest, it wasn't a cow that had licked away his flowers, but a calf. His name was Albert. He had run away from his mom and stumbled upon Knock's flower bed. The friends led Albert back to his mother, the cow Carolina. Carolina was very happy.
Knock! Knock! Oh, here you are. What are you doing here?
I'm going to sleep, Ari.
Sleep? Right here?
Well, of course here, Ari. I can't leave my flower bed. What if Albert runs away from his mother, Carolina the cow, and eats all the flowers again?
But you can't possibly guard them all the time.
Of course I can, Ari.
Ari realized that he couldn't change Knock's mind, so he had to think something up quickly.
What could we invent to fence your bellflowers? Bellflowers. Bells! Of course, little bells! I should have guessed it before. I should have known. So Albert won't run away from his mom again. We'll present him with a little bell to hang on his neck.
Hooray! What a paperific idea!
You will need a paper cup, a large bead, and a piece of string. Pierce a small hole in the bottom of the paper cup. That's right. Now insert the piece of string inside. Glue a paper strip to the bell to hang it on the neck. Great! Now your bell is ready. Aristotle's idea worked perfectly. Now Carolina the cow was always aware of where her baby calf was, and Knock would be alerted if Albert was getting too close to his bed.
Ah, it seems that our guests are near.
So Knock was happy that he had grown beautiful flowers. Ari, that he had helped his friend. Carolina the cow, that her calf wasn't getting lost anymore. And Albert the calf, that he had got his new bell. And that is how this story paperfully ended too. That's it. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One day, Aristotle and Knock Knock were going over some old paper books, and they found
The Bird Guidebook. Ari, what's a bird guidebook?
Knock, a bird guidebook is a guide to birds. This is a kind of game book. Here, they collect all the different birds in the papery forest. You're supposed to find the birds in the forest and then check them off in the book so that they're all present and accounted for.
Ari, what are we waiting for? Grab the binoculars and let's go!
Knock Knock and Aristotle didn't hesitate. They packed their backpack and started off right away.
What a paperific place! Let's start here. Jays? Swans? Wood grouses?
Nope.
Hawks? Ostriches?
Knock knock, nobody's here. It seems they've all flown away somewhere.
That's crazy! Birds aren't supposed to! How can we possibly count them all if they don't sit peacefully on the branches?
My dear friend, maybe we should lure them out somehow.
Ari, you're a genius! We need a bird who will walk on the lawn. Then the other birds will see that there's a bird on the lawn and won't be afraid of us. But how do we get a bird?
Knock, I think I have an idea. Knock knock, how about this? Do I look like a bird?
Exactly like an ostrich! See? Birds are already coming!
But suddenly, it started to rain.
I didn't know that watching birds was such hard work. We need some more bait. I have an idea. Ari, now you do all the watching. Look at me. I'm a yummy worm. Fly to me, birds. I'm a tasty king-sized worm. Oversized and delicious. Ari, do you have any more ideas in store?
Seems like I need to think in a paperific way.
So the friends decided to have some snacks.
Knock, I think I just figured out a way to watch the birds.
Ari, what do you mean by that?
Knock, we'll make a bird feeder from the paper bag.
Hooray! What a paperific idea!
Take a paper bag from a juice or milk carton. Cut a hole in one of the walls. That's it. Fix a handle on top to hang the feeder by. Decorate the workpiece with some fun drawings and add some food inside. It'll be the bait for the forest birds. And now, you're ready. The paper feeder had attracted all the birds in the papery forest.
Ari, can you believe it? In the bird guidebook, it clearly stated that the best way to watch birds is near the feeders. That's where most of them are.
See how useful it is to know a lot and be skillful?
Yep, Ari, but you see, there's a problem.
What is it, Knock?
One bird is still missing. I can't find it anywhere. It's called a woodpecker.
When was the last time you looked in a mirror, my friend?
Of course.
Aristotle and Knock Knock had found a way to know who inhabited the papery forest. And for you, dear friends, it will be very fruitful to walk around in the nearest park and discover some beautiful birds who live there. Try this, especially because this story has already ended, and very paperfully as usual. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One paper autumn day, Knock decided to go mushrooming in the forest.
Oh, bless you, Ari. Do you remember that today we're planning to go mushroom hunting?
I'm afraid I can't keep you company. I have it in my chest.
In your chest? How is it? You mean you've picked them up already? Without me?
Nope. I have a cold in my chest. I'm sick.
Oh, I see. Bless you. That's why your voice is so strange. But don't worry, it's a piece of paper. I'm gonna get you on your feet right away. My grandpa gave me a recipe of a wonder brew. It contains 148 paper herbs and heals all the diseases on the face of the earth. All I need to do is just pick up the herbs. But it won't take long. I'll be back in a jiff. I'm gonna have to come back here again.
However, Knock had to return to the forest not once again, but 148 times again, because just that many herbs were required to make the Wonder Brew, according to his great-grandpa's recipe.
Buds of swampy recoverus, roots of springtime stop sneezia, leaves of good healthia, fleus expellus, and berries of self-treatmentia.
It took a while, and as Knock was collecting the herbs, Aristotle got considerably better. But now, Knock seemed to have gotten sick.
Useless! Sorry, I blundered. I failed to pick up all the herbs for the Wonder Brew.
Don't worry, Knock. It's no big deal. I've almost fully recovered, and I can cook the brew instead of you. You better get into bed. Okay, what's left here? So, Knock, half of the list has been left.
Hurry up, my friend. Without the magical brew, I can't get along. Achoo!
Of course, Knock. But if I have to carry each one by itself, it'll take me till morning. I should find a way to collect all the herbs faster. I'll have to think it over paperfully. I've got it! We'll weave a paper basket. With it, I can bring home all of the herbs from your list all at once.
Hooray! What a paperific idea!
First off, let's cut strips out of thick paper. That's it. We'll use the strips to weave the bottom of our basket. Very good. Now bend the strips upwards and smear glue on them. These are the basket walls. Weave the walls and bend the ends together. Glue the handle, and our basket is ready. Ari took the basket and went for the herbs into the forest. Very soon, the Wonder Brew was ready.
Knock, it's all ready. I've cooked the brew strictly according to the recipe.
The charm-like brew immediately put Knock back on his feet.
Hooray! I'm as strong as an ox again. I mean, as a moose. That's meaning like the woodpecker. Thanks, my friend.
Don't mention it, Knock. So what did you say was in our plan today?
Running cold. I mean, running boldly for the mushrooms to the forest.
Knock and Ari took the new basket and went with it into the forest. There, they picked many paper mushrooms and paper berries. And this is how our story paperfully ended. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One warm summer day, the friends settled on the lawn beside their house to lounge in the wonderful rays of the paper sun.
Ari, what are you reading?
Knock, I'm reading a very entertaining detective story.
Detective? That sure does sound like something yummy.
Oh, Knock, I think you might just be a little hungry.
Yep, Ari. I wouldn't mind a snack or two. Just look at how ripe these cherries are. Ari, I think you're gonna have to help me.
But paper mooses don't climb trees.
Though paper mooses can definitely bring a ladder.
Well, what, did paper woodpeckers forget how to fly? As a matter of fact, what cherries are we talking about?
Pop my paper eyes out. It can't be true.
But it was. Or more specifically, it wasn't. All the cherries had disappeared.
Okay, let's think rationally. There were cherries, yes. Now they're gone, yes. Therefore, they have... What? Ari, are you listening to me?
They were, but now they're gone for good. Sorry, Knock, but this detective's already on the case.
Already on the case? How did he do that?
He took fingerprints, found the traces, and examined the witnesses.
But Knock wasn't listening to what Ari was saying. He was imagining himself as the greatest detective ever.
Looking at the clues, a whole gang of robbers operated here.
Knock, these are our own tracks.
Our own? But there aren't anyone else's footprints. Ari, I'm in despair.
Well, that's not gonna help anything. Try asking some witnesses. Maybe someone saw something.
At that moment, the friends saw a lizard who was lounging in the sun nearby, and Knock rushed to examine the witness.
Excuse me, Mr. Lizard. I'd like to take a moment of your time to ask some questions.
But apparently the witness wasn't going to answer any questions.
Please stop. Don't run. Freeze!
The witness had disappeared, but then Knock caught a glimpse of another lizard. Maybe this one knew something.
Excuse me, may I ask you, are they all conspiring or what?
Knock met a few more lizards, but all of them disappeared without a trace. The investigation was at risk.
Hurry, nothing's worked out. I failed to examine a single witness. And one more thing, our forest is crawling with multicolored lizards. Ari, maybe I've been overheated in the sun.
What did you say? Multicolored? Well, of course. It's all as simple as a piece of paper. See, there was only one single lizard who could change colors, and his name is Chameleon.
But these chameleons couldn't have stolen our cherries. There's no traces of them under the tree.
This is elementary, Knock. Chameleons' tongues are so long that they can pick up berries from any distance.
Hooray! How paperific! The crime of the century's been solved!
To make up a chameleon-like tongue, take a strip of paper, fold it, and glue the seam properly. That's it. Roll the tongue up and fix it with an elastic and leave it for a couple of hours. Very good. Then remove the elastic and the chameleon's tongue is ready. Fortunately, another cherry tree was growing on the lawn, and the chameleon's tongue came in handy at the right moment. And the chameleon himself stopped running around to happily participate in the harvesting. And this is how our detective story, Paper Flea, ended. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. Once, in the fresh winter morning, there was an early snowfall in the papery forest.
Knock Knock, just look! This is the first snow!
First snow? Ari, so when should we expect the second one?
Here it comes!
All at once, the second, the third, and even the fourth snow began to fall from the sky. A true snowy winter had come. After a long day of walking and playing around, Aristotle and Knock Knock made their way to their home to drink some hot papery tea.
Oops!
Strange, Knock. This is where our home is supposed to be.
Yeah, with furniture, a stove, and the kettle full of papery tea.
Exactly right, Knock. We could not have lost our way. You know, paper mooses have a very good sense of direction.
But if we're in the right place, where's our home? Look around, Ari. There's no home around anywhere.
Aristotle took a look around, then upwards, and at last down, when he finally noticed something.
Ari, this is our television antenna. It's supposed to be resting on the house's roof.
Knock, it's still on the roof of our home.
Ari, did snow cover our entire home?
It's much worse than that, Knock. Snow has overwhelmed our entire forest.
Without delay, Aristotle and Knock Knock had to come up with an idea of how to remove the snow. It seemed that it had been snowing too much.
It's time to do something paperful. Ari, we should carry all the snow over from here to there. Oops!
Nope, Knock. This way it doesn't work out.
Is it true that we'll have to wait till the spring when the sun melts down the snow?
We can try to melt it down without waiting for the spring.
No, Ari, it won't do like that.
And it's still snowing.
The snow in the papery forest just wasn't going to stop. It kept falling on and on everything.
Oh, I wish that just as it falls, it would cut up and go away on its own.
What did you say, Knock? Go away on its own? Knock, this is a paperful idea. The snow must go away on its own.
Its own? But it doesn't have legs.
Right, Knock. The snow doesn't have legs, but we will make them up. We'll make a snowman.
Hooray! How paperful!
Cut out some strips of paper. Glue the strips into several uniform rings. Insert the rings one into another to obtain a ball and fix them together with glue. Now, make another ball of a smaller size. Glue the balls to each other. Draw eyes and glue a carrot nose. Glue arms and a scarf. Wonderful! The snowman is ready. So the friends made up a snowman, and another snowman, and many more snowmen. And these snowmen went over to their motherland, the faraway and cold paperarctic.
Ari, what fun work it was to invent and make up snowmen from the snow. But what if it rains? What should we do then? Make rain men?
Don't worry, my dear friend. We'll come up with something paperful. That's for sure.
And this is how our story paperfully ended. Aristotle and Knock Knock found the solution of how to get rid of the unwanted snow. And now you know too what to do if your home gets drowned in snow. See you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One rainy autumn day, the friends were staying home, waiting for the weather to become nice enough. Well, that is, paperful.
Hurry! Today has been raining for too long, and it's such a miss paper to sit at home with nothing to do.
Knock, it's not necessarily boring to stay home. You can entertain yourself with something interesting.
What entertaining thing can we do, Ari?
We can read, for example. Look, Knock, this book is called All About Seas and Oceans.
No way, Ari! That's about water, too.
Not just about water, but about a bulk of exciting water.
Hurry, look! It stopped raining. Oh, let's go outside, come on!
But Knock, we decided to read the book.
Then let's go read it outside.
Listen, Knock, most of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Lakes, seas, and giant oceans, Pacific, Indian, Atlantic, and Arctic. Knock, get out of that puddle, you'll catch a cold.
Hurry! How paperful! We have to go on a sea voyage!
I suggest we go on a voyage on a steamer.
On a steamer? Let's go pack all of our things!
It's going to be our great sea odyssey.
And now, we need to go to bed to make tomorrow come as soon as possible.
Soon arrived the day of the big voyage.
Knock, wake up!
Hurry! I feel like I was sat on by that whale we read about yesterday. I can't get up. It's impossible.
Knock, I don't think the whale is to blame.
It seemed like yesterday's puddle bath wasn't harmless because Knock had caught a strong cold.
Knock, I have some Miss Paperful news for you. You're sick. Your temperature is too high for sea traveling.
Why on earth, Ari? We have everything ready now.
We do have some time left. Let's try to make it.
Aristotle really wanted Knock Knock to recover faster, so he tried to help him with all his skills and knowledge.
Ari, does it look like our steamer?
It seems so.
Oh, what a miss paper. I haven't had a chance to see the ocean yet.
Knock Knock felt very upset. The big ocean voyage was still only a part of a dream. To make Knock Knock a little more joyful, Aristotle decided to play his double bass for him.
I think I have an idea, Knock. Don't be disappointed that we haven't had a chance to see the ocean yet. I'm gonna present you with a small part of it.
A small ocean?
Yes, Knock will build an aquarium.
Cut out the middle part of a paper plate, leaving only the edges, and cover it with transparent film, like this. Then, apply some fish decorations on the inner surface of the second plate. Make some seaweed strips out of table napkins. Glue small stones or shells at the bottom, and then glue the plates one to the other. The aquarium is ready.
Ari, this is the real ocean, with fish and seaweed and shells.
Yes, and also note, my friend, how easy the ocean can be put upon our table.
Thanks to the imagination of Aristotle, the friends were able to see the ocean without even stepping out of their home. And that is how this story paperfully ended. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One warm paper afternoon, the friends were reading the novel about the brave cavalier Don Quixote.
And then the brave cavalier defeated the monster and set the fair lady free. The end.
Defeated the monster and set the fair lady free. Ah, Ari, I got it. I want to become a brave cavalier too. Okay, wait a minute. Look, Ari, do I look like the brave cavalier, Knock Quixote?
Sure, Knock. But to become a real brave cavalier, you need...
A stunning helmet like this?
Sure, Knock, but you also need...
This amazing paper sword I have.
Yes, Knock. But to become the real brave cavalier, it's not enough to have a helmet and a sword. The most important thing is...
Wait, Ari, don't tell me. Let me guess. A saber. A handgun. No, a nun. An airplane.
No! Not at all, Knock.
I got it. Ari, as always, you're right. Yoo-hoo! A real brave cavalier surely needs a horse.
Knock, I meant that a real brave cavalier must perform deeds of bravery.
How paperful, Ari. Go ahead. The deeds are waiting for us.
Before they would begin performing true deeds of bravery, the friends decided to exercise a little.
Straight ahead, my daring horse. Move it.
Knock, maybe that's enough practicing for today.
You are right, Ari. It's time to move on to the real chivalry.
And so the friends headed off to perform their acts of chivalry.
What do you think, Ari? Do any dragons live here?
I hope they don't, but still, maybe we shouldn't go in there.
Ari, real cavaliers aren't afraid of danger. Move it! Giddy up! Ha-ha!
Knock decided that it was time now to perform the first act of chivalry. That is, rescue the fair lady.
Knock, are you sure that Beatrice the Queen needs to be rescued?
Well, of course, Ari. Every decent queen can't wait for a true cavalier to come over and save her. Let's go!
The friends had a little rest from all of the chivalry and were ready to go on again.
Seems like they're gone. Well, let's relax and drink a cup of paper tea.
Sounds good, Ari. We'll drink a cup of tea and continue performing chivalry with a renewed vigor.
Knock, I have an idea. A persistent cavalier like you should have an equally persistent horse.
A terrific idea, Ari.
Take a piece of paper and make a drawing of a rocking horse on it. Now, glue the pattern on thick cardboard and cut it out. Beautiful. Now fold the cardboard along the crease edges and your rocking horse is ready.
Let me introduce you to Musanante. It'll be your faithful companion in your adventures. And I will stay home and write a book about chivalries of the brave Knock Quixote.
Well, I've got a ride. Go ahead, Musanante.
And so Knock Quixote went out for many adventures and performed many deeds.
And this is how our story Paperfully ended. But still to this day in the papery forests, they're telling legends about the brave cavalier Knock Quixote and his faithful horse Musanante. Sante. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. Once, on a hot paper summer day, the friends were heading back home after a long sea journey.
Land ho, Knock! I see the shore!
Hurry! Be careful!
Oh, what a pity, Knock! I almost saw our home!
All at once, a sea star appeared on the deck. Her name was Sylvia. The friends asked the new acquaintance to be their guest in the papery forest. They also told her, amusingly, how to distinguish sea from the land. A walk through the forest turned out to be very eventful, so the friends were fast asleep. All except...
Oh, Sylvia, I almost forgot to tell you one more interesting thing about living on firm ground. There's a custom we have of sleeping at night. But if you can't, then I know a paperific and well-documented method. Composer Aristotle, Paper Lullaby. Knock, what's up with you? Do you feel sick?
E4! You hit me.
Sylvia explained that Knock was fast asleep. She had just taught him a game called Battleship, and they had been playing the whole night through.
But why at night? This is so unpaperful.
Maybe because stars don't sleep at night. Sorry.
Well, only those in the heavens, my friend, not sea stars.
Sylvia said that she also wanted to fall asleep badly, but she felt like something was missing.
Something is missing. See, perhaps?
Sea. Well, I guess I have a special idea. What would you say now, Sylvia?
Does it look like the sea? And how about now?
Frankly, my friend, we've read everything related to the sea, and we still haven't discovered a cure of insomnia for our respected friend. You're paperfully right, my friend. It's long past bedtime. Knock, I think I understand. Sylvia misses the rocking of the sea. But what does sea rocking look like?
A watch?
No, Knock, a swing. We'll build a swing for Sylvia, and it'll help her sleep and dream.
So, let's build a swing. First, fold a thick strip of cardboard into the letter N and glue it to a cardboard sheet. Cut out a seat made of cardboard and poke holes inside of it. Hang it to the stand with thick threads. And there you go. Your swing is ready.
Rock-a-bye, rock-a-bye.
You sleep tight. You sleep tight.
Before too long, Sylvia was asleep, and the friends were off to hit their paper beds with relief.
Oh, good paper night, Ari.
And paperful dreams to you, my friend.
So, the friends finally discovered how to cure insomnia for their new acquaintance, the sea star Sylvia. And Sylvia happened to learn a lot about the paperland and its paper inhabitants. And that is how our story Paperfully ended. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. One day, the friends came across an exciting and paperful book about a distant and cold land called Paperarctica.
Just imagine, Knock. There aren't any flowers or bushes or trees in Paperarctica.
What is there then, Ari?
Only ice and snow. Loads of ice and loads of snow.
The whole year round? All 365 days? That must be dull as dishwater.
I don't think so, my friend, because you can't write such a heavy, paperful book about a dull place.
Hurry! Look how many colors! And they're different as the seasons change. And what could be that interesting in Paperarctica?
Instead of arguing, I think we should learn about it ourselves.
Hooray! We are departing for some true paperful traveling.
To Paperarctica!
To Paperarctica! What is that, Ari? That wasn't in the book.
That's not a what, but a who.
And who is that who?
I don't know.
That penguin was Alf, and he was excited to show Aristotle and Knock Knock all the most interesting things about Paperarctica.
How paperific, Ari! It's as joyful here as in our papery forest.
I can't but agree with you, my friend.
As a gesture of thanks, Ari and Knock invited Penguin Alf to be their guest in the papery forest.
And now, after a long way back home, it would be so nice to have some hot tea.
With some warm cookies.
Knock, don't you think that something's not right with our new friend?
I think Alf's not happy for some reason.
Penguin Alf told Ari and Knock that he really liked it here in the papery land, and that the place is really wonderful, but too hot.
I hope we can cool down the temperature at least a little.
I doubt it, Ari. My temperature's rising, but the other way around.
Despite Ari and Knock's best efforts, Penguin Alf was still feeling too hot, so he asked the friends to flap even harder.
I don't want to upset you, Knock, but it seems like our friend took off like the wind.
That's right, Ari. And this is such a missed paper. What should we do?
Dear Penguin Alf, I wouldn't recommend you sit inside the refrigerator, because over time you could turn into a block of ice.
Eyes? You mean stars in the eyes?
No, ice, like ice cream. Oh, Knock, this is exactly what we need.
Hooray! Paperific!
First off, let's make a cone. For that, draw lines on a sheet of paper lengthwise and broadwise. That's it. Then fold it with care into a cornet and fix it with glue. Excellent! Now, make up ice cream scoops. Crumple a napkin into a wad. Wrap around it multicolored threads and secure them onto the paper. Place the scoops of ice cream into the cone and glue. Very good. Your ice cream is ready.
Well, our friend's flown away, but we still have a piece of Paperarctica with us.
Yes, sorry.
In spite of the fact that the papery forest was much different than Paperarctica, they did have something in common. Both here and there, they loved ice cream. Well, that's it. We'll see you next paper time. In one particularly papery land, there lived a moose named Aristotle and a woodpecker named Knock Knock. On one hot summer day, the friends came to the shore of the papery lake to catch some sun rays and rest from all of their household
Knock,
duties.
it's such paperful weather today, isn't it?
Absolutely true, Ari. The weather is the most paperful of all.
That's strange. It just seemed like a real downpour just happened.
Ari, this is not a downpour. This is a real rowdiness. You cut that out right now.
Knock! Look! It's not rowdiness at all. This is our old friend, Garp the Carp.
Have a paperful day.
Indeed, this was a carp named Garp.
Why don't you join us and do a little sunbathing?
The carp thanked the friends courteously, but retracted. Today was a special day. The carp's family got a bundle of joy. The whole 1,001 spawns were born. But Garp had been so tired from sweating all day that he dozed off and overlooked that all of the spawn had been carried away with the undertow and scattered all over the lake.
Uh-oh. What a mispaper. Knock, we should definitely help Garp the Carp out.
Of course, Ari. Let's hurry.
They had discovered plenty of the spawn, but were all of them present? You see, there should have been exactly 1,001 spawn, and not a single spawn less.
Okay, let's go to the shore now and start counting the spawn.
Game on, Aristotle.
Let's count. 1, 2, 3. Knock, come help me.
4, 5, 6.
147, 148.
Wrong, Ari. This one's already 150th. I've been following closely.
The friends turned to Garp the Carp for clarification, but he just lifted his fins.
Knock, you count and I'll write it down to help keep track.
Start all over again.
$147, 148.
Spawn number 320.
How can that be, Knock? This one's 320th.
You mixed it all up. This one's 204.
Garp the Carp lost his count too. The matter seemed to go haywire.
I can't understand it, Knock. There are so many different ways of counting, we can't make any of them work.
Yes, Ari. We can't frame it however we try.
Frame it? Well, of course. We need a counting frame.
Hooray! How paperful! Oh, this is so paperific.
Use a ruler to mark out a cardboard sheet with straight lines. That's it. Notch every line just a little and put a string through the notches while putting beads on each one of the strings. Well done. Fix the string with knots, and that's all. Your counting frame is ready.
Have a paperful day, Garp.
Ari and Knock liked the counting frame so much that they counted each and every item in their home.
What a useful device it is. A counting frame.
And when the friends happened to be at the lake, they helped Garp the Carp keep an eye on the bigger carp kids. And sometimes even recounting them, because there were as many as 1,001 more, which is quite a number. We'll see you next paper time.